Okay, this is lesson 53 for 7th grade, and today's topic is ratio word problems. So we've been dealing with ratios this whole year, and we've been dealing with them last year too, or at least they did in 6th grade. They didn't have me, but ratio, remember, is just a fraction basically, a way to relate two numbers together in a fraction. What we're going to do is use the ratios that we work with today to solve some word problems. I just have two examples for us to go over, and you'll catch on to what we're doing, and then we'll go over some more of that tomorrow. Okay. So it says, in this lesson we will use proportions to solve ratio word problems. Consider the following ratio word problem. So proportion, remember, that's just when we have two fractions set equal to each other, or two ratios set equal to each other. Okay. So the ratio of parrots to macaws at a bird sanctuary was 3 to 5. If there were 45 parrots, how many macaws were there? Okay. So it gives us a ratio, 3 to 5, a way to relate two things together. We could write it as a fraction too, 3 over 5. And it also gives us an actual amount of parrots. And we can actually use that information to figure out how many macaws there were. And we do that by setting up what we call a ratio table. And that's right here. Okay? So we have a column. We have a ratio column, and then we have an actual column. This is the actual amount of things. This is the ratio that they give us. And then on the side here we have what we're describing. So we have a ratio of 3 parrots to 5 macaws. So every 3 parrots there would be 5 macaws. Okay? And we're also given that there are 45 parrots. So now what we can do is we actually have a proportion set up. We can take 3 over 5 and set that equal to 45 over m. And at that point we have some options. You don't need to set it up outside of the ratio box if you don't want. You can just think of it as a proportion in the box, that's fine. One thing that we could always do once we have this proportion set up is we can solve for m with the cross multiply divide. That's where we take 5 times 45 and then divide by 3, the one across from the letter diagonally. So 5 times 45, do that first, and then divide by 3, and that should give us what m is. Okay. However, this one offers a faster way. Remember, we could always, as long as everything's lined up correctly, we can see how we get from this side to this side, or from this side to this side. And I know that 3 times 15 equals 45. So our rule to get from here to here is to multiply by 15. So that's the same thing down here. We'll multiply by 15. So 5 times 15 should also give us that m. And that's the way I'll do it, as long as we can see that's the route we can go if we want. So 25, 75. So there should be 75 macaws. Okay? Now if we would have done 5 times 45 and then divided by 3, we still should have got 75. That's just 2 different ways to do it. A lot of times there are many ways to do these problems. But I figure if you can take the easy way, go ahead and do that. And do whichever one you prefer. Okay, sorry. Here's another one where we'll have to actually set this one up. In the auditorium, the ratio of boys to girls was 5 to 4. If there were 200 girls in the auditorium, how many boys were there? Okay. So we've got to set up our ratio table. We're talking boys to girls. And we're always going to have a ratio column and an actual column. So we see what they give us here. Boys to girls, so 5 to 4, 5 goes with the boys, stay in order, 5, and girls is 4. So there's our ratio, and they tell us there are actually 200 girls. And we'd want to solve for boys, so I'll call that B, and we'll figure out how many boys are left. Okay, so we have our proportion set up, 5 over 4 equals B over 200. And we want, once again, we could use the cross products if we want to, because when we know if proportions are equal, the cross products are equal. So 5 times 200 should equal 4 times B, or that shortcut once again, to solve for B, cross multiply divide. 5 times 200 divided by 4. So we could do that. We could also go another route. Let's see, let's go both routes and see if we get the right answer. So this is 5 times 200, which is 1,000. And 1,000 divided by 4 is 250. So that's how many boys we should come up with. Let's see if we can get that the other way real quick. I know that 4 times 50 equals 200, and 5 times 50 gives me 250 boys. Alright, so we do come out with the same answer there, as we should. Okay, and once we get further into things, now, if we look at it, we know how many boys there are, we know how many girls there are. We could actually figure out how many total people were there by adding these two together. 250 plus 200, and we could do some things like that. So that's our kind of our future, but we'll stop with this today and go over more of it tomorrow.